Right. Well, welcome everybody. We're so glad that you are joining us. As I just said before I started the recording, that Colleen is actually in Japan. She's teaching on Mount Kurama for the next few weeks with William Rand. And so she will not be here. So it's Danny and I that will be talking about the subjects and doing the journeys and all of that over the next few weeks. So Danny, if you want to say hi.
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
So actually what we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks is new beginnings or our new beginnings. But what I'd like to do first, we're going to do a longer journey in just a minute, or a longer invocation in just a minute. But I would like to go ahead and just take a few deep breaths as everybody is coming in. So it's just be nice. The good thing about doing this is what it's about really is just collecting our energy in and releasing the busyness of our day, releasing maybe the things that we have to do later. Maybe you're joining us or listening from work or other activities. If you are, you can just allow this to wash over you and, have the intention that it helps what needs to be helped, but maybe you're not in a space where you can really be altered, or maybe even you're not able to close your eyes or anything like that. And that's okay. You can just listen and just have the intention that the energy is just working in the way that it needs to be worked with, however you're doing and whatever you're doing. So it won't be long. It'll just be a minute or so. But it's just always helpful when we have busy days, busy mornings. Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes and place your hands in Gasho, which is two hands coming together at your heart. Maybe it may look like prayer position. Just take a few deep breaths. The Reiki light is surrounding you. And as you breathe in that light and it travels in on your breath and starts to fill your entire being, bringing you right here, right now, into this moment in time. Any of the busyness can just be let go of for just a moment. As you feel your body, as you feel your being and the connection to the earth, and the connection to the divine, and that Reiki energy flowing through you. And on the out breaths, just start sending out on your breath anything you need to let go of. And send it into the light of Reiki, where the Reiki carries it into the light. Just a few more deep breaths. And listen to your breath, like waves of an ocean. In filling your body with life force energy, with oxygen, with Reiki, with the spirit of the earth. And on the out breath, just anything that's not of that. We invite the illumined ones to join us here in our circle. Support this circle. Sending love, shining love onto you and all around you into the space that you're in. Thank you. And so it is. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come fully back into presence. Okay. Well, that's a little better. Always is. All right. Exactly. It was a nice reset. So, as I said a little bit earlier, what we're going to be talking about this month are new beginnings. And so, for us in the Northern Hemisphere, we are in springtime, which, we are also in Aries season, which is the first sign of the zodiac. We are in spring, where everything comes into bloom, where new beginnings are very a current topic to talk about. And I know that we think about new beginnings a lot during the new year, which is a great time to also, of course, think about new beginnings. But, that can be different for different people. I know in the Southern Hemisphere, you're in fall, but this topic applies to any time of year, any season that you're in. It can apply to us individually when we are in a process of new beginnings, kind of shedding old layers, the idea of the snake shedding skin. Um, and so, but here in the spring, many of us feel that energy of new beginnings as we're coming out of winter, coming out of that hibernation period where the seeds that have been underground or the blossoms that have started to grow is when they actually start to come into full bloom. So we're moving more and more towards the um, longer days, the sun, the summer, then into harvest. And so I know for me personally, more than the beginning of the year, springtime is the time where I really start to feel the energy of new beginnings. On top of it, we are in some pretty big planetary changes. And we, Saturn just changed signs, Pluto just changed signs. And so those are opportunities for big endings and new beginnings. So that's why we thought we would talk about it. We also have a full moon tomorrow, which generally is the kind of ending of the lunar cycle. New beginnings are more at the new moon, where you can set your intentions for the lunar cycle. But at the same time, that also can really depend on how you feel during the lunar cycle. So that's kind of the larger idea of it. However, it's always very personal to each of us. I know for me, actually, full moons is where I feel a lot of inspiration for different things. I end up, getting a lot of work done. I'm usually really productive. It could be because I was born on a full moon. And speaking of, I'm actually Aries sun and Libra moon. So the full moon tomorrow is, my sun moon juxtaposition. So, but in general, full moons, I actually feel a lot of inspiration. I feel that energy of new beginnings. So it is an idea for each of us at the time of year that we might feel that idea of new beginnings. For some of us, it is the new year. For others, it might be the season of summer. It might be the season of fall. It might be traditions that we might have during each of the seasons or each yearly thing. So it can really be very personal for each of us. And at the same time, there can be times where we might feel that we have stuck energy or that we might feel like we're stuck. And so a new beginning might not have anything to do with that other than we are moving out of a place of stuck energy and into a place of new beginnings. And so it might not have anything to do with the seasons or the planets or a new year or anything like that. It can be a completely different reason for that. Also can have to do with our personal life, these things that are out of our control that life might bring to us, either just in our own personal life or in like, the larger collective ideas around that, that there might be those pieces of it too. So it really is very personal. It also can be, you might feel, oh, okay, spring is coming around, fall is coming around. I feel inspiration during this time. It's a good opportunity for me to move into this energy of new beginnings, move into this energy of, um, releasing what I need to release, moving into this energy of, um, well, spring's coming around. I've been feeling stuck in A, B, and C. So to, this is a really good opportunity for me to move into this now. And I know for me, like, that is one thing that I always feel around spring, is that I always am like, oh, okay, like I'm feeling the inspiration. There's a crispness in the air, and that the at the same time, the sun is coming out. So there's this warm, I know, like I have this nostalgia around, because we get really amazing tree blossoms here too. So cherry blossoms, apple blossoms, all of that. And there's this nostalgia that I have of growing up on the farm, of these big puffy white clouds, and the cherry blossoms or the apple blossoms here, when it's kind of a windy day, they will rain like, or they'll come down like snow, and it's absolutely magical and beautiful. And I know for me, like, that is a time where I'm like super motivated. It's just very inspirational for me. And at the same time, I'm also a gardener. And so the planting of the seeds, the idea of manifestation, all of these kinds of things that I feel inspiration around. And actually, even more than, I would say, the new year. For me, the new year, I'm still in the middle of hibernation. I'm still, we snowboard, so I'm still in mountain snow hibernation energy. So for me, it's even more than that, in the springtime. So it's such a personal thing as to when this all happens, when this all occurs. It can be after a really challenging cycle, a really challenging season, that, okay, I am ready for a new beginning. Like, I may not naturally move into it, but mentally and emotionally, I am ready for a new beginning. I'm sick of this old cycle. I'm ready to move into a new one. So how do I do that? What are the tools that I have at my disposal, and how do I move into that energy? How do I kind of consciously choose to move into that energy if I can? So there's all of these different ways that new beginnings can come into your life, and all of these different ways that you can use Reiki energy, use your spiritual tools to move into that, to help you also to release stuck energy, to move into a new beginning. So that's what we'll be talking about. Danny has a lot of ideas on different ways that she moves into new beginnings, and all of that. And then we have the journey is going to be channeled, but I've been listening for it all morning, and then yesterday. But so I have a neat journey around that too. So, as far as how we use Reiki, and Danny's going to have, she's very Aquarian, so she always has great ideas and lots of ideas. So she's going to move into some of the more detailed ideas. But really, when it comes down to, moving into this idea and how we utilize Reiki, there's a lot of different ways that you can utilize Reiki to move into new beginnings, set intentions for manifestation, release stuck energy. And Reiki is such an amazing tool for that. It helps you to set your intentions for this. Sometimes we may not know what those are, and that's another place that Reiki energy can help, especially that mental emotional symbol can really help in your clarity as far as what your next steps are. So utilizing Reiki and self Reiki, maybe a Reiki session to help you clarify your intentions. Maybe you know what your intentions are, And so you can use Reiki energy and some of the different tools that Danny's going to talk about to help you manifest your intentions, and what your next steps are to manifest your intentions. Reiki is super good at clearing the blockages, and you may or may not know what those are. And sometimes it's helpful to know the details of what that stuck energy is. Sometimes Reiki energy can help you to identify what those blockages are, your limiting beliefs. Maybe there's, like trauma that Reiki needs to help release. Maybe there is, maybe even an attachment that Reiki can help release that stuck energy. Thought forms, that's another place that energy can really have that stuck energy that it can help you to release. Sometimes you can do that yourself, through self Reiki, through your Reiki practices. Other times it can be helpful to have a session from another person, just because they're able to move through it in a different way that you are. Sometimes it's like that outside perspective that can be helpful to have to help you. They can, or the Reiki energy, they can help, see things. And I use see very loosely. They can help see things that maybe you're not able to. So releasing those blockages, releasing that stuck energy can also help you within your new beginnings. It can help you, if you release that, it can help you to see clearer. It can help you to, have that, those new beginnings come into clarity for you, and also what your next steps are to take in those new beginnings. And we don't always know, especially with new beginnings, we don't always know where it's going to land us. We might have a manifestation that we are wanting to come to fruition. Other times we just know, I just need to take that step forward. I just need to move out of this. I need to take that step forward, and I don't know where it's going. I just need to take that step forward. And sometimes that is where we have the hardest time, is that first step, where we might have fear around it. That first step, those can be the places that can sometimes be the hardest piece of it. And once you get through that first step, it's like, okay, the other steps are coming into clarity. And that's also where Reiki can really help us, is that it can help us move through those emotions. It can help us move through those spiritual pieces, those mental pieces, and really embolden them. Other times we may not have that. Sometimes we're in our full inspiration. And there's so much abundance and new beginnings. It's like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where to start, but I feel exuberant. How do I use the Reiki energy to be in presence with this? How do I use the Reiki energy to help me to know where to go, to continue this stream of motivation and this new beginning? Because what we're doing in this time, what we're doing in these moments, are planting our seeds. It is just like our gardens, right? We're planting the seeds and going through the motions and the steps to help that blooming of what we're starting, what we're going into with these new beginnings. So I'm going to let Danny talk a little bit about the different actual, like, more detailed tools that she uses, that you can use to help you in these new beginnings.
Hi. Yeah, so that's kind of a big question that I ask in my sessions, trying to get what kind of season the person is in. And sometimes I do it before the session. So about 15 minutes before each session, I kind of get into it. And that's one of my questions to myself is, what season is this person in? And like Robyn said, it doesn't necessarily mean if we're in spring that they are in spring. And so what I do is I use this handy dandy pendulum. Can you guys see it? So I use a pendulum, and before the session, I'm like thinking, where are they at? Where are they at in life? I mean, are they in the West and they have so many shoulds and they're just overwhelmed? Are they in springtime like we are now? And they have so many ideas, plant, just seedlings. They have ideas, but they haven't done anything with it yet. Are they in autumn where they are feeling a little guilty for not doing anything? They have the ideas maybe, but they're not doing anything. They haven't started a Reiki business, or they haven't done any sessions, or they haven't, listened to their class. And so it's really interesting for me to figure out what season they're in. And I'm just going to screen share real quick if I have that option. What I used, let me get here. I do a clientele form. So I start and I go down and I fill this out just for me. And I go all the way down to what to release, like Robyn said, what to bring in, but also what season they're in. And because that really helps me. And I use the pendulum because I might not know them at all. I have no idea. And so for me, pendulum is my intuition. And so when we start the session, then I kind of know what direction I'm going to start in maybe. And it really resonates with them a lot. And also the whole balance thing is I go down and I use the pendulum for each chakra. So I go down and I go through each one and figure out, what it says to me, like, is their root chakra really open, like overly open? Or is their sacral really closed? And I do that before the session, just to give me an idea of, what's going on. Those of you who don't know what a pendulum is, it can be anything. It can be like a necklace. It can be anything that's hanging down and has something heavy on the end. And for me, a pendulum that when I says yes to me, it's a yes or no question. It goes in a circle. This is for me. And when it's no, it goes back and forth. And when it's unknown, it just stays, it doesn't move at all. And since I've been taking the next step classes, I don't use this as much, but it's such a great tool, and it's actually really fun, and it gets me out of my own way. It gets ego, kind of pushes that aside, because the sessions are for the client, not for me. Doesn't matter. And just to be, balanced. So that's one of the things that I use just to figure out the season. And like I say, the seasons can be different for everybody. And we have people on this call, people in Nigeria and people in the UK and people, in Australia. So just location wise, they're in a different season. But then, like Robyn was saying, we're in a different season all the time. And even I was just talking to one of my co-students, and we were talking about invocations and about how we use the same invocations in our sessions, like over and over. I won't think about it. I just use the same invocation. But the person is in a different season each time, right? So it could be exactly the same words. Like all of us here could be like, we know what's going to be said next, maybe. But we're in such a different space in a different season that it sounds different, and we hear different things and different solutions pop up. So anyway, so we can use the same invocations over and over.
And then Danny, do you hold the pendulum in a certain way?
Yes, I do. So for me, I'm a right-handed person, so I hold it in my left hand typically.
Can you move your hand down just a little bit so you can see? There you go.
Sometimes I hold my elbow just so it's really steady.
So for those of you that are listening only, she's kind of pinching them in her hand. There's not really a wrong or right with holding a pendulum. It's just like how you hold,
Yeah.
something.
I mean, when I had a cast on this arm, I used this hand. So for me, it's kind of like Reiki. There's not a ton of rules for me. It's just whatever works for me. I have another friend who uses a pendulum, and it's the exact opposite. For her yes and no is back and forth. Mine is in clockwise. It's counterclockwise when I'm right. Oh, that's a good thought, but I'm not quite not there. So it's really fun to do. It's good for finding things. You know, if you can't find your keys, you're like, is it in the bathroom? Is it in the bedroom? Is it in my car? And it's really fun, fun to just see what it comes up with. But it is definitely really good for me with Reiki sessions. And again, we can talk about this later, but about chakras, that really helps me. And I can say every session I've ever done in person or distance, if there is a chakra that is closed or blocked, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that that's really informative. It's like when your car's making a noise and you take it to the mechanic, you want them to be able to find out what's wrong with it. You don't want them to say, I didn't hear anything. So for me, when there's a chakra that's, you know, blocked, I don't even like that word very much. When it's giving you the message, I like that. So then we can talk about, you know, is there something that you're not communicating? If I feel it in their throat area, and they'll, you know, 99%, they're like, yes, exactly. And after each session, I go through their chakras again. And there has never been a time when all of the chakras are not open. There has never been a time. It's always after the Reiki session. Everything seems to be open. The client feels more balanced and lighter. So it's just one of my tools I use.
Well, and what's great about it too is that you can do that for yourself. So your intake form, for those of you that are just listening, had the writing, what do I want to let go of? What, you know, what is a client? But in this case, if we're talking about our own personal ways, what do you want to let go of? What do you want to bring in? What season are you in? And then it had a list of all the chakras. So you could do that in a journal. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just for sessions. Like maybe you're not a practitioner, maybe you're doing this for yourself. Then you can write those things down and do the same thing that Danny was saying for yourself too. So there's that opportunity as well. And those are great time. That's a great time to do it, is in the different, you know, season that you might be in. So yeah, great idea, Danny.
I also, you know, this is my little
Reiki doll.
yeah, Reiki doll, and it has can't really see it, but it has the chakras on the body, and I'll do that. I'll hold it over.
Let it. Awesome.
Her
Yeah.
throat chakra is beautiful. And I
Fantastic.
also do it for my my pets, my cats.
Nice. Well, and there's a lot of ways. So the pendulum is one way. Other ways you can research. How do I get rid of stuck energy? How do I, you know, what are some great rituals to do for new beginnings? If you're interested during the seasons, you know, the medicine wheel, that article that Danny posted, the medicine wheel and what seasons correlate with what cycles you're in. Trying new things can be a really great way for new beginnings. Going somewhere different, even driving a different way, can help either stuck energy or just inspiration, innovations, new beginnings. Moving things around in your house, or, you know, where you live in your space, can be a really great way to just change things up, change that ki or that chi up, releasing stuck energy, inspiration for new beginnings. And then pendulums, as Danny said, or oracle cards, different crystals can help with this. So those are some other ways that you can help with this, and you know, write down your manifestations after you're doing or during a self Reiki session, or during a Reiki session from, or after a Reiki session from somebody else. So journaling, visualizing. There's a really great thing in the Reiki 1 and 2 manual about releasing unwanted habits and manifesting new habits. And so you can find that in the Healing Touch manual. And there are, I think, 6 or 7 steps about like writing it down on a note card, putting the mental emotional symbol into it and doing that like in a daily ritual so that you can release bad habits and manifest new habits. At the same time, I think that that's a great ritual for any new beginning, anything that you want to manifest, or releasing any stuck energy. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do that, utilizing the Reiki energy to help that clarify it, to empower it, to release, to let go of, to bring in. Those are the things that the Reiki energy is going to help support you when you are in these new beginnings, when you are, also releasing anything that's stuck to help you move into new beginnings, or to help you, if you are feeling that inspiration, like, okay, I'm ready to move into something new. I'm ready for these new beginnings. How do I get there? That's exactly when the Reiki energy is going to be the most helpful, because that's what it does. That's what it can help you do. It helps you to let go and heal the things that need to heal, and it helps you to bring in and manifest the things and empower you, to help you manifest the things that you want to, and help you, in those steps.
Another fun thing that I just actually did with a couple of my friends the other day is we met for some tea, and I brought some of that dissolving paper that Colleen talks about. You can get on Amazon, so it dissolves in water. And so I brought that, and I made us 2 sheets each. And so on one sheet, I put what we wanted to release. And just, we sit and chat, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is happening. I'm like, okay, write it down. All those worries or anxieties or frustrations or resentments or judging, we just write it down. And then I brought a little bowl, filled it with water, and we just sat it in there as we were talking. So they were all dissolved by the time we were done talking. And then on the other piece of paper, I wrote the things that we wanted to bring in, our new beginnings. What did we want to do? Like one of my friends is looking for a new job, and another one is on dating apps. It's all these new beginnings. And so we wrote on that. And so each of us planted it. So we took that piece of paper and planted it. And so it will dissolve in the water. And we have a lot of snow and rain right now here in Oregon. And so that's kind of a fun thing to do. And they really enjoyed it. And so it's just another idea.
Nice. I love that. That's such a cool idea. Wonderful. And yeah, Taylor put in the chat, the season insight is helpful. A person in new moon, new beginnings phase is quite different energy than space than someone in a full moon or peak phase, and everything in between. Because again, if you're in fall right now, fall is harvest. That's, you've got the abundance of summer, and then you have fall of harvest time, where that's where you're kind of collecting all of that, which would be kind of a full moon energy. So there is the difference of the cycles of the earth, or just the idea that you might be in these different cycles, even if they're not in the congruence with the seasons of the earth or the seasons of the planet. So, but it's just more of the metaphor of where you might be at, in the different cycles in the different seasons.